Yes. Welcome once again, everyone. Cannabis News with Joe Clare. It's September 13th, 2018, presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org to find this show. A bunch of other great stuff on the website. A lot of great articles, social media links, all that stuff. marijuanatimes.org. Go check it out today. Talking about sex and marijuana. We're also talking about Los Angeles launching a crackdown against illegal dispensaries, and also the fate of Tesla shares after the infamous Elon Musk, Joe Rogan podcast, all that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com. Side is spelled CIDE. Check out their organic, all-natural pesticides. If you're a cannabis cultivator in a state where it is legal, you want to be you want to grow safe and poison-free. You want to be pesticide-free. You don't want to use harmful pesticides. You want to use all natural stuff. And most importantly, you want to be regulatory compliant in the state that you're growing in. You don't want to use any banned pesticides. You can accomplish all of this with a simple visit to NatureSide, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go check them out. They are awesome. This first story by yours truly over at marijuanatimes.org. Yet another study tells marijuana users what they already know. And obviously all these stories, as I always say, are linked in the description of this video if you want to go check it out. This one basically is about a new study about sex and marijuana enhances sex. They surveyed about 50,000 people, male users and female users alike, attested to the fact that overall marijuana enhanced their sexual experience. They had sex more. And as I point out in the article, these are things that many cannabis users already know. Apparently there was the old rumors and the old studies and that have been since debunked that show purportedly that marijuana use lowers sperm count and things of that nature, and it's some kind of inhibitor when it comes to sex. And I would say that most people who have ever used marijuana know that is not the case. It's not an inhibitor. It releases your inhibitions. A lot of people who are in pain or otherwise, incapacitated and not in the mood, as they say, marijuana helps with them. For many reasons, marijuana is a sexual enhancer, and as I said in the article, and as I say right here, most people who have ever used it would attest to that fact. You can take a poll of cannabis users anywhere you want, and you will find that is the case. I will stake my reputation on it. Go forth and do surveys. Let me know how it turns out. This next story is from LATimes.com. LA launches a crackdown on unlicensed marijuana businesses. More than 500 are charged in 120 criminal cases filed since May. City Attorney Mike Fuhr, not what they used to call Hitler. It's spelled differently, but I'm pronouncing it badly and not on purpose. This is really the best I can do. Feuer. Mike Feuer has charged 515 people in connection with 105 illegal marijuana businesses, grow houses, extraction labs, and delivery companies located throughout the city. All the defendants were charged with unlicensed commercial cannabis activity within the city, which carries a potential sentence of 6 months in jail and $1,000 in fines. Local judges have been hearing the cases since May, with arraignment scheduled through the end of October, according to Feur's office. If they're going to go through this process, it just cannot be the case that others that flout the rules are allowed to function. Feuer said, "It's bad for those who buy from them. It's bad for the communities in which they're located. And again, it threatens to undermine the viability of a system that's predicated on lawful licensing." As of Thursday, there were 165 approved cannabis storefronts and delivery businesses operating in Los Angeles, but many more without licenses are also open in the city of Los Angeles. The problem, obviously, is that these unlicensed businesses, they're not paying the taxes, they're not following the regulations, their costs overall are much lower than the licensed businesses who have to pay the taxes and have to follow the regulations, and they can undercut them in price and keep most people going to the illegal dispensaries. But the government in Los Angeles, the authorities in Los Angeles, obviously and in the state of California, and anywhere marijuana is legalized, is to get everybody under the umbrella of the legalized, licensed businesses. And toward that end, well, they're busting people who not bother to go through the process of getting a license for whatever reason. Now, we can argue about, whether or not that's good. Obviously, less access for people who need marijuana or want marijuana is bad. But at the same time, you can't expect a city, local, state, even national government they're not going to allow unlicensed businesses to operate in the open. They're undercutting the businesses that they're going through the process of licensing and all that. It looks bad. It cuts into their tax revenue. For many reasons, it's just not going to happen. So this should be no surprise to anyone in Los Angeles. This last story is from theguardian.com. Now, this story itself was the day after Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan's podcast. We talked about that last week. He was drinking whiskey. He took a not very good hit off of a blunt. There's been an argument about whether he inhaled. He doesn't look like he inhales. But anyway, the day after, Tesla shares crashed after Elon Musk smokes a joint on a live web show. They tried to reach Musk for comment, and he wrote back that the Guardian is the world's most insufferable newspaper. It's a fanning the flames, if you will. But the Friday, the day after the Joe Rogan podcast, Tesla shares fell 6%. Also, 2 executives left. The company's head of accounting, Dave Morton, and the head of human resources, Gabby Tolindo, said they were leaving Tesla. So that sent shares tumbling from around 300 a share to down about 263, somewhere in there, a share for Tesla stock. Now, this is a few days after that. We're several days removed from when this happened. The Joe Rogan podcast, I believe, was the 7th or somewhere around there. So here is the updated Tesla stock. It's a screenshot from earlier today. You see there, now this is 1 month of Tesla stock's performance. You see it in August, early August, it was up over 340 a share. It was down around 300 and falling below 300 when the Joe Rogan podcast hit. You can see there on the right-hand side, it dips into the low 260s right after the podcast and the departure of the 2 executives, but since then has rebounded quite a bit. And as of earlier today, wow, look at that. I took that screenshot at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. That, I did not try to do that. I will admit, I could take credit for that and say that that was an amazing coincidence or an amazing some purposeful action on my part, but it was not. It is an amazing coincidence. It was today at 4:20 I took the screenshot. And at the time, Tesla stock was at 289, so it's again climbing toward 300, but its fall from over 340 came, way before what's going on with, with Joe Rogan. But a lot of people, a lot of these, and some of these executives, like the executive, the head of accounting said they left because the quote, the level of public attention placed on the company as well as the pace within the company have exceeded my expectations. You got to think that Musk's fame, his notoriety, his infamy, his eccentricities, whatever you want to call them, it's probably a bit to deal with. There's a lot of turnover at, a lot of big companies, especially at the top. But when you have a volatile kind of guy who gets a lot of attention, I imagine it can make your job harder to do. But to blame, like Tesla stock was falling before the Joe Rogan thing and has come up since then, to say that his stock fell because he smoked a joint on a web show, that's ridiculous. The clearance questions that the Air Force brought up, that might affect, SpaceX and what he's doing with them. But, it's the world of business. Many, many things go into stock price, why it goes up, why it goes down. We're talking some hundreds of thousands, millions of shares, whatever you're talking in the case of Tesla or any other big company. It's volatile. And like I said, a lot of things, go into what makes the price rise and fall. I'm not a stock expert, but I think that's pretty much how it works. There's a lot of contributing factors, and that's what makes it so hard to predict. If it was easy, people would just predict it and everybody be making money. But there's a lot of factors, a lot of variables, and it's hard to predict. Anyway, it's not a business show. That's not business news. This is cannabis news. But that was interesting because of the really cultural impact that one moment of him hitting that blunt has had, especially on social media, is pretty crazy. That's cannabis news for today. Thanks everybody for checking us out. Subscribe on YouTube. Search the Marijuana Times on there. Click that little notification bell so you know when new episodes have been posted. If you want the audio-only version of the show, search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts. Find us, as I said, on marijuanatimes.org as well. Go check out Nature's Side, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of the show. If you need organic, all-natural pesticides, they're the people to see. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show and watching and sharing and liking and commenting. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.